Hello ninjas! How is everyone going today? I didn't get a chance to play Blake's game at the end of last session, so I'm playing it now. We did the pixel art last time yesterday. That's it, Monday. And so we've made this little pixel robot that bobs up and down, and then little wheels that turn, so that we can put our own pixel art in our games, which is pretty cool. How's everyone? So many emojis. Hello, how's it going, AD and AJ? How's it going, Blake? How's it going, Ms. Yeti? And I think Crazy Kid, am I right? Anna Daniel is either Crazy Kid or Inches, and I forget which one. How's it going, Falcon Fab Lab, Coda Dojo? It's lovely to have you all here. I think I've mentioned everyone. I mentioned Blake. It is lovely to have you all here. So, seeing as we start a little bit later, I probably won't play Ninja games for very long, but I did want to have a quick go at this, seeing who didn't get a chance to at the end of the session, and then I want to get straight into our game, but I think there's a limited number of lives, so I'm probably going to die fairly soon in this game. Oh, so this is a game that, oh no, can we squeeze through here? No. There we go. There was this particular level where we couldn't get any further. All right, thank you very much, Blake, for sharing that game with me. That's very cool. You got your little robot pixel art dude in there. He looks awesome. All right, so now let me show you the game that we're going to be making. So, who here has played the Chrome dinosaur jumping T-Rex game? So the things that we're going to learn today are, we're going to learn how to do this kind of cool sort of scrolling effect, sometimes called parallaxing, which we've done before but the main thing actually that we're going to be doing is we're going to be working with a specific form of gravity that's based on velocity. Whoa. So yeah, you always turn off your internet to play it, do you? Oh. All right. The score 491. So once we finish making these games, let's see if we can beat 491. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you this Scratch project. So in this Scratch project, you should have all of the sprites already. They should be more or less where they need to be. They should have all their costumes, and they've even got the 3 proper sounds, which you probably didn't hear unless it picked up through my microphone. But we've got the jumping sound, we've got the hit sound, as in when you lose, and we've got that checkpoint sound. So yeah, that's probably not playing through the stream, but that's okay. You guys, when you get the project, you can have a bit of a play of those sounds and hear how they sound. All right, so this means that we can skip past all of the stuff with making sprites and that kind of thing, and we can get straight to the coding. So in the meantime, just a few things that I always say at the beginning of these coding sessions. If you can, try and set up with 2 screens so that you have a screen with me on this YouTube video, and you have a screen for you to do your coding. If you can't do that, that's fine. Just Alt-Tab between us. But just if it's possible, even on like a phone or an iPad while you're on your laptop, or to put this YouTube video on a TV while you're on a laptop, that will just make it easier. That's what I recommend if you can do it. If you can't, don't stress. Has anyone not used Scratch before? I think everyone has here. I think everyone can get to Scratch, but if anyone needs to, you just type Scratch into Google, click on the first thing that comes up, the top result, and then you click on Create. And you'll get to. Actually, no. You just follow the link that we're doing, that I've put in the chat, and you click Remix. Yeah, that's a good plan. That's a good plan. I see you guys have been having fun with emojis in chat. I'm just catching up now. Yes. Not everyone talks in chat, and that's completely fine. Ms. Yeti, some people tune in and they don't talk in chat, maybe because they're focusing on the coding side of things. It might also be a thing to do with their YouTube accounts. I wonder if, depending on the age that's set on your YouTube account, it might not let you communicate in chat if you're young. That might be like an age restriction thing. I like that little awesome emoji. That's very cool. But yeah, let's see. Yeah, all nicely caught up. Yes, you've got the offline T-Rex game, and yes, you can play it at a Chrome Dino. That link there. Sweet. All right, cool. So as always, there's a bit of latency. So don't be surprised if there's a delay between when you type something into chat and it looks like I respond. The latency is actually on your end. You're receiving the video on a delay from when I'm actually doing what I'm doing, and that's to make sure that latency basically makes it so that this stream is very stable. That means it doesn't drop out for you guys. You shouldn't lose the stream as often, and it should also be nicer quality. The resolution is nicer. Okay. That's pretty much everything. Make sure to share your projects and save them before you ask me to help with them. But apart from that, I think we're ready to start coding. So we've got, hopefully you guys have all hit Remix on that link that I provided you in chat, and you're all ready to go. I'm going to grab my notes and bring them over here. So we're going to start off in the Dinosaur sprite. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to create a forever loop, and we're going to run a bunch of different my blocks inside that forever loop. So first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go to events. We're going to get a when green flag clicked and drag that out into the Dinosaur sprite. I did not get permission from Google to do this. To be fair, I don't think they have it copyrighted. And also, to be fair, I'm not selling it. So if I was charging you guys money, then that would be a copyright issue. That like Google would be like, oh, you can't do that. But I'm using this game, the T-Rex game, under I think fair use. This counts as fair use. Anyway, let's not get too much into that. And yeah, in general, you don't need permission from anyone for Scratch projects unless you're trying to sell them, and you can't really sell Scratch projects. It's kind of hard because they're available for anyone to play, and you don't need any money. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to make two variables. We're going to make, so to do that, you go to variables, the dark orange category in the middle of the left part of the screen, and you click on make a variable. We need to make sure this is for all sprites. First variable we're going to make is called score. And we need to make sure that we set this score to 0 at the beginning of the game. Otherwise, how do we know if we beat the score that I set at the beginning, which was 479, something like that? 470 something. Anyway, doesn't matter. So, once you've all made your score variable, grab a set score to 0, drag that out, and put it under when green flag clicked. Then, after that, we're going to make another variable. This variable is going to be called y velocity. Which direction is y? Because x and y are two different directions in Scratch. One of them is up and down, the other one is left and right. Which is y? Is it left and right, or is it up and down? Write your answers in chat now. At the beginning of the game, we're going to set y velocity to 0 as well. Let's give you some time to write your answers in chat. And then, after you've written your answers in chat, what we need to do underneath these two, set score to 0 and set y velocity to 0, we're going to grab a forever. Put that right underneath. And we're going to run a lot of stuff inside this forever. 497 my score was. Very good. Yes, y is up and down. Yes, very good, very good. You are quite correct. So, once we've got our forever loops, we're going to create we're going to make, let's start off with 3 my blocks. Yeah, let's make 3 my blocks. So these are in programming called functions. In Scratch, we call them my blocks or make a block. And basically, what it allows you to do is to tie a bunch of code to like one single line that you can use over and over again, which is really useful. And it just makes our code a lot more easier to understand. We're going to make 3 of these. The first one is called gravity. Now, UJ mentioned to me that in general, functions should normally be named as like an action, but I'm being a bit naughty here. Not all of these are named as actions, but I think I'm just going to keep it nice and simple. So now you have a little define gravity. Drag that off to the right side, and then grab gravity from the left side, the little one, and put it inside your forever loop. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to make another one. So we've made gravity. Now we're going to make crouch, which is an action word. So that's good. Once we've made crouch, just drag that little define crouch block off to the side, and then grab crouch and put it inside the forever. All right. Now, once we've done that, we're going to click on make a block one more time, and we're going to call this die. That's an action word. You can call it lose if you want. Maybe I'm being too aggressive with how I'm naming these. So now you should have 3. You should have forever gravity, crouch, die, or lose, something like that. And you should have these 3 defined with nothing in them. That's good. That's what we want. All right. So now we know what we're aiming for. We need to put some various things inside this gravity. All right. So inside these functions, these my blocks. All right, so hopefully you're all still with me. What we need to do is move define crouch and define die away, because we're going to focus on define gravity, okay? Let's make a nice little bit of space so you guys can see what we're going to do. We're going to put all of this stuff into define gravity. Now, what we need to do is we need to make... we've already made it. We're good. So what we're going to do is we're going to use one of our variables. We're going to use specifically the y velocity variable. Now I'm going to show you what this is, and then I'm going to explain it a little bit. So I'm just going to give you the code. So we need an if, then, else block. If, then, else to go in underneath define gravity. That's in the events category, which is the yellowy one to the left. Drag out if, then, else, and put that underneath define gravity, okay? Excellent. Still with me, good, good, good. Still following. So then what we're going to do is we're going to grab if touching, and then the one that we want says if touching mouse pointer. Drag that into our if. We get this little gem-shaped hexagon touching mouse pointer. That's in the light blue category sensing. Drag that out and you'll see it'll fit just nicely into the if then, between the if and the then. But what we want is we don't want this to be if touching mouse pointer. We want this, so you click on the white triangle next to where it says mouse pointer, select ground. So it'll say if touching ground then. And then there'll be a space, and then there'll be an else. Okay, so do you guys know what the word velocity means? Feel free to answer in chat. Have a think about that, and I'll keep going, and then I'll explain the velocity. So I know that's a word that doesn't come up very often, velocity. If you've seen Jurassic Park, kind of sounds like Velociraptor, but it's nothing to do with velociraptors. So we're going to go back to our variables section. We're going to go to the dark orange section on the left, near the near the bottom, and we're going to go to variables, and we're going to get a set variable 2. Yes, quite right. Velocity is speed. So y velocity is specifically at what speed are you moving up or down? So we grab our set variable to 0, and we change it so that the variable that's being set is our y velocity variable. So if our y velocity is 0, how fast are we moving up or down? The answer is we aren't. Speed is 0. That means you are not moving up and you are not moving down. Nice and simple, right? So if y velocity is 0, you are not moving up, you are not moving down. So when our dinosaur lands on the ground, it will stop moving up or down. So now what we're going to do is we're going to grab a change variable by. So yours might say change score by. Grab that out and put it underneath the else. We want to change, not the score, we want to change the y velocity. And we want to change it by -1. So you grab out this change y velocity by -1 and put it underneath the else. As fast as Sonic Hedgehog, as long as Sonic is not moving. As fast as the speed of light. I like it. Yeah, as fast as Lightning McQueen. Very good. I am speed. Very good, very good. So, then we're going to do one last thing. We're going to go to motion, the dark blue category in the top left corner, and we're going to grab a change Y by. And it'll say change Y by 10. Grab that out. Now we're going to change that, but put that on the bottom of the code. So not inside the if or the else, after it. Comes right after it, on the bottom. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go back to variables, and we're going to grab that little round variable near the top, y velocity, and we're going to put it in the little round socket that change y by 10 has in it, where the 10 is. And we're going to drop that inside. So now, that dark blue line on the end of our gravity code, which says change y by, is going to say change y by y velocity. Okay, so this is pretty simple, but we haven't done up and down movement like this before, using a variable that we manipulate. The reason that this is a really good way of doing it is once you've got all this code in, hit the green flag and let's test it. Oh, wait 1 second. We might not. No. Just drag the. Oh yeah, no. Okay, we can't test it yet. Don't worry. Just ignore that. Don't worry. Actually, we can test it. If you drag the dinosaur up, make sure you stop your code, drag your dinosaur up, make sure the code is stopped, otherwise it's going to fall to the bottom. Then, once you've dragged the dinosaur up, hit go, the dinosaur will fall to the bottom. Now, you may not have noticed this, but the dinosaur speeds up the longer it falls, which actually is roughly how physics works. If we only fall for a short time, we fall slowly. The longer we fall, the faster we fall. So that's kind of a nice added bit of realism, and you'll find that most games have some element where the longer you fall, the faster you fall. In fact, when you can't fall any faster, that is called terminal velocity. Where you are literally falling as fast as it is possible for you to fall. So this is not what we've done in the past. Is we've made characters always fall the same speed, which kind of makes them look a little bit floaty or a little bit slidey. Whereas this is kind of a nice effect. All right. So, just catching up on chat here. I am Iron Man. All right, so we've got all this code in, and that's our gravity. Sorted. Easy peasy. What we're going to do now is we're going to define our crouch. So come away from gravity. Gravity is working. What we're going to do now is we're going to go to our define crouch code. Make this nice and big. Oh, I can't go any lower. Ugh. Okay, that's fine. All right, cool. So define crouch. So let's have a quick look at the costumes of this T-Rex, this dinosaur. And you'll notice there are four different costumes, but they are both there are two modes of this dinosaur of being. So it's run 1, run 2, crouch 1, crouch 2. And you'll notice the only thing that changes is the little T-Rex legs are moving backwards and forwards. Okay? So we've got run 1, run 2, crouch 1, crouch 2. So what we're going to need to do now is we're going to make another variable. So we've got our define crouch in front of us, come back to the code with me, and let's go back to variables, the dark orange category, and click on make a variable. Now this variable is going to be called crouch, and then a little slash run. So crouch slash run. Because this variable is going to tell the dinosaur if it is crouching or if it is running. And what we are going to do is we are going to make an if. We're going to grab our if then else. Actually, yeah, we need an if then else. So underneath define crouch, we need if then else. Okay? And underneath the else, we are going to we're going to go back to variables, and we're going to grab set variable 2, and we're going to change this variable so it's set crouch run the variable to run. So it's going to default to running, but now we need to know what is going to go inside this if. I've jumped slightly ahead. That's okay. Basically, the controls is when you press down is when your dinosaur will crouch. So we go to sensing, the light blue category. We grab a key space pressed, but we don't want space to be the control for crouch. So we're going to make the button down arrow. You can make it S if you want. And then we need to ask one more question, and that's, are you already on the ground? Because if you're in the air, you can't crouch. So we're going to get another if. We're going to put that inside underneath the then. We're going to go back to sensing, and we're going to grab touching mouse pointer. But now what do we want this actually to detect? If touching ground. So we click on the white triangle next to where it says mouse pointer. And then we're going to grab another set variable, set crouch run to crouch. Okay. And that is all the code we need for defining crouch. We're just setting the variables right now. So you should have underneath define crouch, if key down arrow pressed, then if touching ground, then set the variable crouch run to crouch, else set crouch run to run. So this is a variable that only has two modes, crouch or run. It's always going to be either crouch or run. It's always going to be one of those two things. Okay? All right. No problem. So, is it inches or crazy kid? Anna Daniel. I didn't put the welcome sign up on yesterday because because I decided to start off by just talking about pixel art, Blake, and I haven't put it up today because I thought it's 4 p.m. Maybe we can just get straight into it. But maybe we still need the sign. We'll see. I decided not to put the sign up this time just because I keep forgetting to pull it down, and maybe we don't need it, especially if I don't have a long intro. Because if we're sitting at 4 p.m., it might just be that everyone arrives a bit more on time for the streams, and that's fine. Inches. Thanks for letting me know. All right. The jumping game. Is this the right one? No, it's not. T-Rex game remix. Uh-oh. Penguin? That's not gonna work, dude. we need to have the original sprite for because you need the 4 costumes. Okay, so at the beginning, when green flag... All right, you ready? Ready, Inches? This is what you need to do. You need to change... So you have, under when green flag clicked, set score to 0, then change score by 1. That's not what we want. We want set score to 0, then we want set Y velocity to 0. Okay? That's what you need to change. Your penguin cannot duck, so cannot crouch. We'll see how this goes. If you need to... Yeah, I provided you all these graphics because they needed to be a certain way. Maybe I should have made that a bit more clear at the beginning. What I'll do as well is I'll go File, Save Now, and if you want to, you can just click Remix on this one. Otherwise, keep going with yours as long as you can, later on, when you've got a bit of time, make a crouching penguin and a non-crouching penguin. This is a nice penguin, by the way. Did you make this in Piscal, or did you make it just now in Scratch? Because I like the penguin. It's a very cool penguin. Or did you find the penguin? That's also fine if you didn't necessarily draw it yourself. You found it on the internet. That's also fine. Yeah. So if you do, now, as long as you make that change, like I asked you to, when green flag clicked, underneath when green flag clicked, it needs to say set score to 0, set Y velocity to 0. Groovy. All right, so hopefully we should be able to continue, and you've got your options there. If you get too stuck, you can use my more sort of up-to-date T-Rex game and keep working on the coding. Up to you. That is fine. All right, so we have our gravity code done. We have our crouch code done. We need to keep going. We need to do some code that triggers the jump. Okay. So we're going to do this in an interesting way. We're going to go to events. Everyone follow me along here, the yellow category on the left. We're going to grab when space key pressed, all right? And we're going to make another my block. We're going to make another my block. So go to my blocks, the sort of red-pink category in the middle left of the screen. Click on make a block, and then type in jump. Okay? And then we're going to grab the little jump my block that we've just made and put it underneath when space key pressed. You should have define jump. It doesn't have anything underneath it yet. Put that off to the side for now. And then we're going to make another event when space key pressed. But we're going to make this when up arrow key pressed. This is in events, the yellow category. And then we're going to do the same thing. So when up arrow key pressed, also jump. So both the space and the up arrow key will trigger jump. Now let's decide now let's put our code to decide what jump does. Okay? So, we need to make sure that the dinosaur cannot jump unless it's touching the ground. So, what do we need? Feel free to write your answers in chat. If you don't know, just follow me because I'm about to tell you. We need to get an if from control. We need to go to sensing, the light blue category on the left. We need to grab touching mouse pointer and put it inside the if underneath jump. Underneath define jump, we need to click on the white triangle and select ground. So that underneath define jump, we've got if touching ground then. So that means that we can't jump if we're floating in the air. Otherwise, we could just jump infinitely off into the sky. Whoa, goodbye. So now jump can only happen if we are touching the ground. So that's good. Now we're going to do something a bit fun. We're going to go to sound. I very rarely put sound in my projects, as you probably all have noticed. We're going to get start sound. It's very important that you get start sound, not play sound until done, start sound, right? And mine says start sound checkpoint, but we're going to change that. Click on the white triangle and select jump. Okay. So now, one thing that's important is that we have code, our gravity code, that tells our dinosaur that if it's touching the ground, its y velocity is always set to 0. And that's what prevents the dinosaur from falling through the ground, right? So first thing we need to do is we need to grab change y by 10. That's in motion, the dark blue category in the top left corner of your screen. We need to grab change y by 10 and put that underneath start sound jump, okay? We need to make sure that the dinosaur gets lifted off that ground before the next thing that we do, which is to use our y velocity variable. So we need to grab a set variable to something. Mine says set crouch run to 0. We're going to change this, but we need to grab that set variable to something. Again, you get that from the variables dark orange section. We're going to click on the white triangle and change it to y velocity. And we're going to set y velocity to 10. Okay. Now, this y velocity is the speed at which the dinosaur is traveling. If it's a minus speed, if it was minus 10, it would be traveling down. If it's a plus speed, so if the speed is 10, it's traveling up. But we have code that also slowly eats away at that speed, always takes away from it. So, once you've got all this code in, hit the green flag, and you should have this really nice looking jump animation where you can see they sort of go up and then they fall. And it looks, that movement feels good. It feels like a video game should. They sort of speed up. At first they're speeding up, but then they slow down when they get to the top of their jump, and then they sort of start coming down again, and they speed up, and then they hit the ground and they stop. It's actually quite a nuanced jump mechanic. So we've used jump mechanics that have been very basic in the past. This is quite cool. By just by this simple changing the y velocity. And if you look at y velocity, your variable, you'll notice that the number changes really fast. So it starts off at like 10 and then very quickly ticks down as your dinosaur falls, and then as soon as it hits the ground, it sets to 0. So yeah, this is like a very cool sort of nice feeling jump mechanic. Alrighty, let's have a look at Yoyo Cake. Oh, I have some messages. Oh, probably just people remixing. All right, so hashtag copyright. Love it, love it. All right, let's have a look-see. Opposite of crouch. Oh, you haven't put anything in your opposite of crouch. See, I know you're being funny, but by naming them these like really crazy things, you're making it harder for yourself. Opposite of crouch, is that standing? No, it's jumping. All right. So you don't have anything in your opposite of crouch. Have you saved it? Do I need to refresh? You've got like literally nothing in there. Oh, you found the problem? All right. I think you're okay then. Just make sure you save your game. Because I think I might have an old version because you've got literally nothing in there. Opposite of crouch. Okay. All right, so this is all the code that we need for our jump. So we've got our jump working. We've got our gravity working. We're doing well. We're doing well. So what do we need to do next? Let's get our die code working. This is nice and simple. Where is define die? Or define lose, or define hit as well. Hit works. Because this code is going to detect if our dinosaur has hit one of the hazards, like these things over here, the cactus, the birds, that kind of thing. All right, so we're going to get define die, or lose, or opposite of life, if you're Yoyo Cake. I'm joking, dude. I'm joking. Just having a bit of fun. And what we're going to do is we're going to get very simple. We're going to get if then. All right, so let me refresh because I've just gotten a message in that Yoyo Cake is still struggling. Have you put any of the code in your opposite of crouch, whatever you want to call it? Oh yeah, no, it's fine. If touching mouse pointer, then start sound jump, change Y by 10, set Y velocity to 10. What's the problem? What do you think the problem is? If touching mouse pointer. Do you see the problem now? Again, this might be slightly older, but if we change this to if touching ground, perfect. I know it seems obvious, but just read your code to yourself. Read it. Say, all right, define opposite of crouch. If touching mouse pointer, wait a second, I forgot to change that. And then that'll fix a lot of problems. So hopefully that's fixed it for you. All right, so once you fix that, Yoyo Cake, all you need to do is change that if touching mouse pointer underneath your opposite of crouch to if touching ground. And big oof. Yes, Blake, big oof. It's fine, though. I want you guys to ask me for help. That is fine. I know that it's difficult to keep up sometimes. All right, so hopefully you're all with me. We've all got our jumping working. Let's go to define die or define lose or whatever it is you've got it called. So again, we need to figure out if the dinosaur has touched a hazard. That's okay. That's all right, dude. No. Look, I'm having fun. I'm having fun. You're having fun. Don't you worry. It's okay. And you got to look after your brother as well. So don't you stress. That's fine. So we need define die. We need if touching hazards. So we've got underneath define die or define lose. Yeah, it's all fine. I'm a little bit cheeky when you guys come to me when your code's not working, but don't worry, it's all in good fun. I like helping you. This is what I'm here for. I like doing this. Don't worry. So define die. If touching mouse pointer, we'll need to change that. If touching hazards, because this, remember, how do you lose the game? It's by touching one of the hazards, one of the cactus or one of the birds that's flying, right? Blake. All right, so define die. If touching hazards, then what we need to do is I think we just do something simple. We'll make another sound. So again, let's get start sound. So we go to the sound, that kind of pink-purple color, and we get start sound. Put that inside our if. We want to select which sound. There's a sound called hit. Let's start that sound. And then we go to control, and we grab stop all. Nice and simple. We could do something, if you guys want to, if we end up doing this on like a future Coder Dojo session, then we could do something a bit more sophisticated than this. But we're going to do something nice and simple. So start sound, hit, and stop all. Okay. So it looks like we'll need to do a part 2 of this T-Rex game. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend the rest of the time that we have getting the hazards working and being able to jump over them, and we'll do the crouching probably next time. So, because we've got our jumping working, we don't have our crouching working, but that's fine. And next session we can also probably increase the difficulty. So what we'll do is we'll go to hazards. And let's put in some code to make these hazards spawn and come towards the player. Okay, so once everyone's clicked on hazards, the sprite hazards, let's go to the code. We need a when green flag clicked. We're going to make clones, but before we do that, let's make some more variables. So click on variables, the dark orange category with me, follow me with this, and click on make a variable. We're going to make 2 variables. The first one is called x velocity. So we remember that velocity is speed, and we remember that y is up and down, so this x velocity is going to be left and right. Specifically left, because everything moves from the right side to the left side to make it look like the dinosaur is running. Now we need to set this x velocity. So grab a set variable 2. We want to set the x velocity variable. And I'll just tell you, let's start off with -6. that x velocity is going to mean that as the hazards spawn on the right hand of the screen, they're going to move towards the left hand of the screen at a speed of -6. So that's left 6 pixels per iteration. Because we're making, we need to set another variable. And we're putting all of our stuff into variables right now because this is going to be really useful later. And it's a lot easier to do it now than to have to put this stuff in later. We're going to make another variable. This variable is called hazard spawn rate. And we need to set the hazard spawn rate to the number 2. This variable, hazard spawn rate, is the number of seconds between each time we generate a new hazard. So currently it's every 2 seconds. Yeah, every 2 seconds it makes a new hazard at the right side of the screen, and that's going to come towards the player. So we've got our two variables, set x velocity to -6, and our other new variable set hazard spawn rate to 2. All right, so once we've done that, let's go to looks. Let's get hide, put that underneath because we're making clones. So we need the original to be hidden so that all the clones, so that we don't see the original hazard. And then we're going to go to go to. So grab, so go to motion and grab go to x equals something, y equals something, okay? So grab go to x equals something, y equals something. Put that underneath the hide, and I'll just tell you the numbers. We want the hazard to go to x 250. This means that the hazard's going to be all the way as far as it can go on the right side of the screen, which is where we want it. And then, let's just say that the y is -42. That's what I've got on the previous version, and I think that's going to be right. We could change these later to make the hazard spawn higher or lower, but for now, -42 I think is fine. And then, let's grab a forever loop. So we go to events, or control, I should say. I always get those confused, but they are on top of each other, so that's fine. Let's grab a forever. Inside the forever, grab a create clone of myself. That's also in control. And then, also in control, we want wait 1 second. Put that underneath the create clone of myself. And then finally, do you remember what hazard spawn rate is for? It's to dictate how often it spawns hazard. So we're going to go and grab, we're going to go to variables and grab our hazard spawn rate and put it inside the wait hazard spawn rate seconds. Okay. So wait hazard spawn rate seconds. So now it should be making these clones of the hazards, but we haven't told the clones what they're supposed to do when they are created. So we'll do that, and then that will probably be all we have time for this session. And then we can come back to this in a part 2, I reckon. Should be good fun. All right, so not that. So what we need now is a when I start as clone. Grab that, put it off by itself. We're going to put some stuff underneath this. When I start as clone is in control, the orange category on the left. Drag a when I start as clone out and put it over on the right side. All right, let's put some stuff underneath it. So we're going to do a simpler version of the ultimate code that only makes cactuses, okay? So first, we're going to grab a looks block, and we're going to grab switch costume 2. So when I start as clone, switch costume 2. And what we're going to do is we're going to grab a pick random from operators. So go to the green category on the left, because inside our switch costume, we're going to grab pick random 1 to 10 and put it inside. So you should have switch costume 2 pick random, and it'll say 1 to 10, but we want this to be 1 to 4. Okay? And that means it's going to choose one of the first 4 costumes each time one of these hazards is made, generate it, and then move it. Well, we haven't gotten to that bit yet. That's all we've got so far. When I start as clone, switch costume to pick random 1 to 4. Now, we've hidden our original hazard sprite. So when we create a clone of the hazard sprite, the first thing that we need to do, or not the first thing, the next thing we need to do is we need to make sure that we show that clone. We want to show. So go to looks. You should still be there. Go back to looks, the purple category. Grab show. Put that underneath. I will give you an idea for pixel art. I will do that once we're finished here. We'll spend a bit of time, and should be good. All right. So actually, why not? Everyone else. Let's all think of a good idea for pixel art for Blake. Write your idea into chat and make it realistic. Like, make it so that the kind of thing that you could envisage you making pixel art of. Because I think all of us are fairly new to pixel art. So put your ideas for what Blake should make in pixel art in the chat. So what we need to do now is we need to get a RepeatUntil. So that is in control. You need to make sure that it's RepeatUntil, not repeat 10, RepeatUntil. And then while we're here, grab delete this clone and put it on the very bottom after the RepeatUntil. Okay? So what we're going to do is, and I've used this bit of code many times, and normally I'd get you guys to think about it a bit more just to see if you're remembering how we did it before, but I'm just going to tell you right now. We need to go to operators. We need to grab a less than. Write the symbol for less than in chat if you know it. We're going to put this less than into our RepeatUntil. It looks like it's this hexagon, 6-sided gem shape. I always think of them as gem shapes. It's got 2 little sockets, and the arrow is pointing towards the empty one, the one that doesn't have 50 in it. That arrow is pointing towards the empty one. That's what less than is. 2 sockets, 50 is in the second socket, the first one's empty, and the arrow is pointing to the left. It's pointing to the first one. That's what a less than is. We're going to go to motion, the dark blue category. We're going to grab an X position. And we're going to put, I'm just going to tell you, less than minus 239. And then we're going to grab because we're still in motion, we're going to grab a change X by, not set X to, change X by, and it'll say change X by 10. We're going to change this. Once you've got that line, we're going to use the variable that we made earlier, X velocity. So you go to variables, the dark orange category on the left, you grab X velocity, you drag it out and you put it over the 10. So this is the final code that you need for when I start as clone. When I start as clone, switch costume to pick random 1 to 4, show, repeat until x position is less than minus 239, change x by x velocity, and then delete this clone. All right, let's see if this works. What you should have is cactuses that spawn. Some of them are 3 cactuses, some of them are 1. And some of them are big. Some of them are 2. Should be a big cactus in there somewhere as well. Yeah, there we go. There's the big cactus. All right. Oh, dead. What is... Are you okay, Blake? Are you okay? You're mashing your keyboard. Do you have a cat? Is it walking across your keyboard? This game is harder than Silent Circles. Alrighty, inches. Let's make sure you've saved your game. So, we've got... Ah! Okay. So, everyone, what do we think inches needs to change? Oh. When we start the game, what do we need to change? Do you remember what our variables do? Which variable is wrong? What's happening? What's happening? Well, what do we need to change here, guys? Put your answers in chat. We have a variable, a specific variable, and that specific variable controls how fast the hazards spawn. What is the variable called? And what's it set to? He's got all the code in, but there's something wrong. Have a look at his variables. Hazard spawn rate. That is the variable that dictates how long the game waits between each time it spawns a hazard. So we set the hazard spawn rate to 2, and you're very close, inches. All you'd need to do is go into the hazards code. So you click on hazards, the sprite that is, and you have a look at when green flag clicked. You've got 2 variables right underneath there. X velocity is the speed at which the hazards come towards the penguin. And then after that, we need to set hazard spawn rate to 2, and you've got set crouch run to 2. We need to set hazard spawn rate to 2. Because later on, we've got forever create clone of myself, then wait a number of seconds, that is the variable hazard spawn rate. All right, does that make sense? So if you change your code in hazards, underneath when green flag clicked, set X velocity is fine, but then your next one says set crouch run to 2. We want to set hazard spawn rate to 2. Try that. Perfect. So as it is, your penguin is fine, because we haven't gotten to the crouch bit yet. Oh! This is great. This is really good. And I noticed you've got some slightly different sounds as well, which is cool. So, hopefully that made sense to everyone. How'd everyone go? I ran a bit over time with this one, so I'm going to have to wrap up pretty soon. If everyone, make sure your code is updated, tested. Let me know in chat if you're having any problems. Let's refresh. No, this is Inch's one. Let's refresh this one. How did yours go, Blake, and everyone else? Yep, this looks like it's going great. Oh, this is the Yoyo Cake one. Very nice Yoyo Cake. Let's have a look at 09 Infamous. Alrighty. Is your game working, Blake? Oh, you've made, yes. See, what you can do is you can do things like set the hazard spawn rate to be a smaller number so the hazards come more often. Yeah. And that's why we've got hazard spawn rate set to a variable, so we can change it. We can even change it in-game, make the game speed up and go faster, which is what we're going to be doing in part 2. All right. Are you Mezietti on? Yeah, you are. Let's have a look. See, T-Rex game. Very nice, Mezietti, very nice. All right, cool. That is awesome, everyone. I think I've tried Yoyo Cakes. Yoyo Cakes is working fine. Inches, you've done a really good job with this one. You have followed this really well. And what I would say is, before we get to T-Rex game part 2, which will probably be next week, try and do a penguin who is crouching, if that makes sense. Try and make the penguin, like, even if it's just a squished penguin, try and make 2 more costumes where the penguin is up, like the dinosaur is up, and one where the dinosaur, and two more costumes where the penguin is crouched, like the dinosaur is in our costumes in the dinosaur. So just to show you what it will eventually look like, you'll eventually have this dinosaur that can crouch, and its legs are always running. We have clouds that are spawning, just like we've got the cactus spawning. We'll have birds that are spawning as well, just like the cactus are spawning. The birds are flapping their wings when you see them. You can see there's bits of dirt on the ground as well that are moving, and all of this really helps us to feel like we're running through the desert. You can see the birds are flapping the wings, yeah, cool. And each time you hear that, although you probably can't hear it just because you can notice, but you should notice that the game is speeding up the longer that we play it. Oh, dead. One little lonely cloud keeps going. So probably next week, maybe on Monday, we'll try finishing off the rest of the T-Rex game. On Thursday, we're doing part 3 of Pokemon. I think we might finish part 3 of Pokemon on Thursday. Just depends how far we get. Obviously, we can't make a full Pokemon game with like 150 Pokemon and such, but I want to give you enough tools so that you can make a RPG game of how you want, and then you can decide how big you want to make it and how far you want to take it. All right. Yeah. So if you guys want to follow each other, then you can find, and then feel free to post. You should be seeing the names on each other. Here we go. I will go through and like and star all of your projects. You guys have done a great job. Got Yoyo Cake, got Need to Do Infamous. I will save this one. 09 Infamous. We've also got the Scratch Studio. I won't go to it just at the moment. Oh, man. T-Rex game. Here we go. Let's like this. But yeah, it'll be nice if you guys can follow each other. If you can like and star each other, support each other. So that it's a nice thing to do. But that's basically everything we've got for today. So if you want to send me messages through Scratch for suggestions of what you would like to see in future streams, you can also subscribe to the YouTube channel and ring the bell if you want notifications of future live streams. We do these every Monday and Tuesday and Thursday at 4 p.m. according to Western Australia time. Next stream is on Thursday is Pokemon Part 3. There's a bit of if you haven't done Pokemon Part 1 and 2, the YouTube videos are up. Just go and follow them. And the great thing about watching YouTube videos, not live streams, is you can pause if you get stuck. Go back, see what you missed, that kind of thing. So yeah, feel free to comment on this YouTube video as well. I read all of the comments. But if you can't, that's also fine. But yeah, until I see you guys on Thursday, remember to stay awesome, be cool to each other, take care of yourselves. We'll see you next time, ninjas. All right, bye-bye.